So going to the cloud has been a really positive driver for a lot of organizations. They are looking to upgrade D3 to D365 because they want to move to the cloud. But I want to take a minute to talk about the choice that maybe you have in front of you, the cloud, on-prem, or a hybrid. And I want to make something clear. Anyone who's done a small amount of research on the on-prem option will realize that on-prem with Dynamics 365 does not mean completely disconnected from the internet. So Lifecycle Services, if you've looked at D365, you'll have heard of that. It's a management tool that runs within D365, is only available in the cloud, regardless if you're on-prem or not. So you can keep all your applications and your data on-premise, but ultimately the cloud connectivity with LCS is fundamental to the operation of D365. So be very clear, there is no zero internet access version. If you want to run your ERP without internet access, Dynamics 365 is not an option. All right, so to my argument for cloud, and again, I would like to say that's the opinion of the speaker, not necessarily anyone else. But here's what I think. The annuity revenue streams, they reign supreme in share price. So all of the largest software companies, annuity revenues are making the most difference to their overall company value. So you just look at the correlation between the share price and how big their annuity streams are running to understand why this push is pervasive. So the largest people who are making software, they're creating a platform to generate annuity revenue way into the future. And that platform is also made available to people who build apps. That's going to drive cloud consumption with their own applications. So annuity revenue builds up over time, creating a continual revenue stream, which in turn drives higher company value. So for the people who are building these apps, this means a higher resale value for their company if they're privately held, and obviously a higher share price if they're not. So for the giants in the game, cloud providers and app builders, Microsoft, Amazon, Web Services, SAP, Salesforce, Oracle, all of us. This annuity revenue stream, the subscriptions, translate to a higher value company and higher incomes for everybody. So the compulsion for anyone developing software now is to move to these annuity revenue streams delivered through the cloud. So what I would say is if you're trying to avoid the cloud, everyone is building their solutions for cloud now because of the attraction of those revenue, the way that the revenue works and the value that it adds to their business. So, that change started slowly, but now it's everywhere. And the massive R&D budgets that are going into these vendors, they're all going to the applications that are built in the cloud, and they're charged by that sort of subscription model. Any older on-premise products, they're all in their end of life, with low or sometimes non-existent budgets to support them. So the challenge to people who don't want to go in the cloud is that perhaps within 5 years, buying an on-premise application is going to start being really difficult, particularly with ERP. Within 10 years, it might be impossible to buy an ERP system that doesn't run on the cloud. And those people who are making on-prem applications are either going to be very, very niche or they're going to be out of business. So, I'm going to use BlackBerry as an example, and apologies to anyone who still uses BlackBerry, but it was really in its peak in 2008. Now, I can still remember that on my BlackBerry. So 2008 is only 11 years ago. And in 2008, we weren't all desperate for touchscreen phones and things that did anything more than just email and making calls. So new phones have come out, better applications to run on. We're all talking mobility now. Technology we never knew we needed. Now that had killed BlackBerry by 2013. So they had 5 years of rapid technology adoption, driven by the sellers of new phones, and it's completely changed the playing field. So just think about that in technology terms and disruption. So some of the largest corporations might be able to afford a cloud all of their own. You know, it is after all the same thing as we have today on premise. It's just a bunch of powerful computers sitting out the back. But cloud is really the way everything is going from a software perspective. My conclusion is this, and whether or not you consider upgrading your ERP or any other business app, that whether or not the cloud is an option is really a moot point. I'm going to say really it's the only choice. So you're probably sitting there saying, hang on a minute, Dynamics have an on-premise option. Why does it even exist? And my response is, I'm not sure. I would say that if you're still thinking it's a valid option, just be very careful to understand the list of features that you will not have if you are on-prem. Take a very close look at the minimum hardware requirements that Microsoft have published. You know, in my mind, it makes it look like those on-prem people have to basically build their own cloud infrastructure. There's some very, very, very heavy hardware commitments that Microsoft are asking for those running on cloud. Certainly, Sikich, we have not found a customer yet that cannot be convinced to move to go on the cloud as opposed to on-prem.